lounging about and hunting and reading and doing all these aristocratic things. And I could only imagine that there would be a certain amount of resentment.
Oh,
Wow.
it makes sense.
Yeah.
Kind of in a weird way, an upstairs, downstairs type thing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Do you have any advice for up-and-coming authors?
Oh, I think just take yourself seriously. Take your art seriously and make it important and make time for it, and don't become discouraged, because I can't even tell you how many rejection letters I have from agents and from publishers. Oh my goodness. I remember crying in the fetal position in my bed so many times because I felt like nobody loved this novel and nobody would love Maggie Hope and her friends. It's still, like, even so many years later, it's astounding to me that there's an audience. So I would say just believe in yourself and make time for yourself and put in the work, and don't be discouraged by people who tell you no.
That is very good advice. I think that we've experienced that on the podcasting level. We had to learn to take ourselves seriously.
Right, I'm sure.
To learn just a little more about you, we're curious. What's the last book that made you cry?
Oh, the last book that made me cry. Well, the last book that really took my breath away is Sharp Objects by Gillian Flynn. I think that book is so brilliant, and I think it's just so overshadowed by Gone Girl. And I have to say, like most people, I read Gone Girl first, and I sort of went to her backlist over the winter, and I just thought Sharp Objects was one of the best things I've ever read. In some ways, it's so perfectly crafted, and it has such a wonderful, almost like fairy tale feel to it, even though it's set in the present day. It really blew me away.
I agree. I really loved that.
Out of
book.
the 3 books, that's the one that really stuck with me also.
Oh, wow. Okay, so I'm not the only one. This actually makes me feel good.
No, that was a great book.
She's a very talented writer.
Now, do you have any upcoming books or events that we can tell our listeners about?
Well, the paperback of Prisoner in the Castle is coming out in late July, and I am so happy to say that the next book in the Maggie Hope series, which is called The King's Justice, is coming out in February of 2020.
I can't wait.
Yeah, I'm working on the edits right now. I'm so excited. And it takes place in London. Maggie's back with her friends, which has been such a treat for me to write. So she's back with David and Chuck and Sarah, and everyone's back in London. And we learn about the sentencing of the Blackout Beast from the Queen's Accomplice, and also the potential connection between him and a new serial killer in London.
Ooh, sounds good.
I'm so happy she's back with her friends. I think that's where Maggie really shines.
Yes, absolutely. And you know what? This is so funny. Maggie, of course, has adopted a cat, Kay. People have contacted me on Twitter telling me that they've named their ginger tabby cats Kay. I have all these pictures of like these beautiful ginger tabbies, and they're named after Kay.
Oh,
That's great.
That's sweet.
One question that I really am curious about is something you mentioned at the beginning of the interview about the Henson Company. Explain a little more about that.
My husband is a puppeteer, and he has worked for many, many, many years with the Jim Henson Company, and he's worked on Sesame Street, and he's worked for the Muppets. He did Bear in the Big Blue House and a whole bunch of other shows. Right now he's doing, if you ever watched Last Week Tonight with John Oliver on HBO,
Yes.
when you see Jeff the Diseased Lung or any of those crazy puppety characters, that's my husband.
Oh my gosh, I'll
that's-
never watch it the same again.
Yeah. His
That's
name's
great.
He's developing a show for kids with autism, and it's using puppets. And one of the reasons is that he was so inspired during Bear in the Big Blue House because it had such a profound positive effect on kids with autism and kids on the spectrum that he really wants to develop his own show targeted for kids and caregivers.
That's
That's
lovely.
wonderful.
I'm really proud.
Because we are huge fans of anything that the Henson Company does.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Well, Susan, we thank you so much for agreeing to be on the show. We love every Maggie Hope book and are excited for the next installment.
And
Thank
when
you
the book
so
comes out in February, please let us know so we can give it a shout out.
Oh, yeah. That would be fantastic. Maybe we could do a giveaway.
Oh, that would be wonderful.
Tell us how our listeners can find out all about you and your books.
My website is SusanEliaMacNeal.com, which I know is a mouthful. So there's that. And then I'm on Facebook as Susan Elia MacNeal. Twitter is at Susan MacNeal, and Instagram is Susan MacNeal. So I'm just kind of all over. If you follow me on Instagram, I tend to do more fun family things, including shots of like Muppety and puppety things. So if you're interested in that.
Oh,
Well, that's
okay.
great.
Great.
Yes.
Like you said, we thank you so much,
Okay.
and we wish you the best of luck with your writing and everything you do. And congratulations on your son completing the 8th grade, and good luck in high school.
Thank you. Thank you so very much
You're
for having
in for it now. There's no backing out.
me. Thank
Well, you
you.
have a great rest of your day.
You too. Thank you so much.
Thank
Thank
you,
you,
Susan. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, that was very interesting, Susan's connection to the Henson via her husband. I would have never known that about her.
No. Well, it gives you insight into these authors' lives. We find out all kinds of interesting
Yes,
things.
we
Their
do.
people have connections. They walk in every path that you can imagine.
It was interesting that the Maggie Hope series did not start out as a mystery. I am so glad she did, because I think they are so clever and well done.
Oh, yeah. When I first started reading the series with Mr. Churchill's secretary, I believe the first was called, I loved the story, of course, and the mystery. But what I loved even more was her portrayal of Winston Churchill. Gave you a look at what Winston Churchill was like in the private portion of his life. Everybody's a little different when they're out in public. She did a lot of research into these true historical figures, and she works them into her mysteries very well.
Definitely. And we look forward to many more installments of the Maggie Hope series.
Oh, yeah. And The Prisoner in the Castle was a great book. Just finished reading it last week. It stands up there with all the rest of her books. Very well researched, very well done. And I never guessed the culprit at the end. I like that
Neither
when that
did I.
happens.
Neither did I.
Go check that one out.
Now, Anne's not with us right now, and I'd like to ask her that question because she is really good at figuring out culprits.
Well, when the culprit was revealed, I should have known. I'll put it to you that way, but I was surprised.
So well done, Susan.
Yes, definitely.
Before we go, Susan has graciously agreed to have a giveaway of her latest book, Prisoner in the Castle. One lucky person will win a copy. If you'd like to be eligible for the giveaway, you have to send us an email to darkandstormybookclub@gmail.com with your name and address. In order to be eligible, you must be signed up for our newsletter, which is on our website at itwasadarkandstormybookclub.com. This contest is only available to people in the United States.
Well, now we're going to talk about an interesting article that Tracy found called He Wrote, She Wrote, on Gender in Mystery Writing. This is an opinion piece by Clea Simon that appeared in the Boston Globe on June 17th. In a nutshell, there is a new imprint called Scarlet that's under the banner of Pegasus Books. And this is touted to feature psychological suspense that feature complex women. It has caused controversy, apparently.
And the main reason it's caused controversy is because the person spearheading the campaign for Scarlet is a man. He's not just a man. He has a past that has not always been favorable to women writers.
And we're talking about Otto Penzler. Now, he's co-founded, apparently, this imprint. He's not the only one in the making of this imprint. They apparently have dug up some not so kind things he's said about women. He does not apparently like Sisters in Crime. At least he didn't in 1991.
He considers it a sexist organization, which is, in my opinion, ridiculous because they do accept women and men.
Right. Sisters and Misters.
That's what we were told.
Yes. That was in 1991. Then in 2005, he disparaged cozies, which is pretty much favored by women. And he said that they may be fun, they may have their charm, but they are not serious literature, and he wouldn't include them in any serious crime fiction awards.
Wow, that's pretty amazing considering that Agatha Christie can be considered a cozy writer.
Oh, yeah, I would agree with that wholeheartedly.
So he's going to call the Queen of Mystery not serious literature. Interesting.
Mm-hmm. Well, this was in 2005, to be fair.
Absolutely.
People do grow in
I don't know a lot about Mr. Penzler, so I don't have much of an opinion about him personally. I can only judge by what this opinion piece is telling me.
Well, Otto Penzler, apparently he's a pretty big shot in the mystery world. He owns the Mysterious Bookshop in New York City, and then he puts out a short story anthology every year. He's been around a long time in the mystery world.
I think he does a Christmas.
I think he has. I'm not sure if he does it all the time. So that is part of the reason it's causing controversy. The other reason that people are not so keen on this imprint is their first two books apparently were supposedly written by men. And then they came out and said, well, no, the first book will be by a real honest-to-God, presumably cis woman, one Stephanie Bulens, but she's working with an unnamed established male co-author. And the second book that's coming out is by an as yet unnamed, well-established male author writing under the pseudonym Sophia Prentice. So the first two books that are presumably supposed to be about, or at least marketed to women, are going to be written by men.
I'm wondering if part of what may eventually happen is a woman who is part of Sisters in Crime. I don't know if she would be willing to write a book for Scarlet, knowing who got it started and who...
Well, yeah, their choices seem to be a little odd. Now, that's not saying that men can't write a very good female protagonist. We've come across many men who have written very good, strong, believable female characters.
Girl with a dragon tattoo.
There's one. This isn't a woman character, but Alan Bradley writes about an 11-year-old preteen girl who is very, very smart and very believable.
So I don't think it's necessarily because they're men. It's just if they're marketing to women who want to support other women, this is not going to be the way to do it.
Yeah, I think they could have made better choices.
So we'd be interested to hear what you think. You can look up the article if you pull up the Boston Globe. So we'd love to hear what everybody else feels on this subject.
Well, I feel like also that they could have said this is what the first book is. This article didn't mention this is what it's called and these are the authors.
I think Clea wanted to get the message across. I don't think she wanted to necessarily market for Scarlet.
It's hard to tell by the article, actually. Though it's an opinion piece, didn't really get an opinion from her. She just talked about the controversy that
I don't
is
know.
going on.
I think the opinion came across with
You
her.
think so?
Absolutely, with her talking about his personal statements from in the past. I think that spoke volumes.
Well, she did, like I said, to be fair, these were decades-old quotes.
And I think that she did a great job of bringing it up, but not trashing anybody, or she pretty much left it up to you, the reader.
Mm-hmm. Just throwing it out there, as they say.
Absolutely.
Okay, I think that's enough. Thanks to Susan Elia MacNeal for joining us. We're always thrilled to talk to such well-established authors, as well as all of our other authors. We always enjoy getting to know
some of our new discoveries.
Yes. Anybody who will talk to us, really.
And once again, we want to wish everybody a very happy and safe 4th of July for our American listeners.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
We have listeners, at least one in Latvia now.
Yes, we were very surprised to see that. We're pretty much worldwide now, so...
There's a holiday in Latvia.
Yes.
Happy Latvian holiday.
Yes. And Spain and Germany and all of our listeners everywhere. So we just wish everybody a happy day. There we go. And with that,
I think that about does it all.
yes,
And remember,
life would be boring without a little mystery.
Bye.
Bye.